Well, isn't that always the way? Just as I was almost finished, the camera stops because the memory was full. My apologies, but you know what? This is fine. I can actually give the live albums a little bit more attention. I don't have to feel like I'm in a rush. Um, so just going back and just doing a brief overview. I forgot to say, normally I'm not one for live albums when it comes to an artist, unless it's like one of my absolute favorites, or unless they're they're pretty much like the highlight of the entire show, in the sense that it's not just their songs, but just them, their charisma, perhaps they're a storyteller, and Al Stewart just happens to be the greatest storyteller on stage I've ever seen, besides Frankie Valli, I might say. And I've been to 2 of his concerts. I had the chance to meet him, had the opportunity to bump into him during the intermission, and then after the concert as well. But I must say that in between the songs, he would tell some of the most fantastic tales I've ever heard in my life. Everything from from hearing Cat Stevens change his stage name however many times, to a certain conversation with Robert Fripp from King Crimson concerning French history and jazz chords. And I just I soaked in every second. I just love his stories, and sometimes he'll tell these very refined jokes as well. I mean, I just can't get enough of him. So I'm actually glad that they included plenty of live material. So just going over them just one more time, please bear with me, and then we'll get to the rarities, and I'll discuss the omitted tracks and albums with you. So, without further ado, so Fairfield Halls, Croydon, February 11th, 1970. Here we are. Warwick University, November 8th, 1970. There you go. And that was during the time of Zero She Flies. 3 different shows from Medway Folk Center, Kent, July 1971, 72, and 73. So, 3 shows in one set here. Unfortunately, they didn't include Night on the 4th of May, the BBC/Old Grey Whistle Test version, but that's my preferred version. But it's available online to listen to when you get the chance. It's an amazing version. He's wearing a Mickey Mouse t-shirt, if my memory serves me. Music Forum, Uppsala, Sweden, 1973. The Heath Folk Club, Hampstead, London, 1973. Got him back. I remember, as far as his fashion sense, I remember in the music video, Pretty Golden Hair, he was wearing just a button-down shirt with a tie. And then, of course, later on he started to expand more, anywhere from fur coats to leather jackets. And then in the mid to late 70s, he started combining leather jackets with just nice button-down shirts, and then stuck with button-down shirts from there on. So, My Father's Place, Roslyn, New York, May 8th, 1974. And I know that here and there he'll do musical impressions, whether they're voice impressions or perhaps just a brief sampling from some of his favorite artists. It's thanks to him I started listening to Django Reinhardt, who's an amazing guitarist. My God. London, 1974. Tower Theater, Philadelphia, November 26, 1975. 2 discs in this one. Sometimes I'm trying to look for like cover versions. I don't see any so far. Let's see if there are any cover versions in the old ones. It's really cool. He actually included a so it's an early version of Once an Orange, Always an Orange in the Fairfield Halls, Croydon, 1970. So that's really cool because the studio version didn't come out until 2 years later. As far as I know, he doesn't play too many covers, which, you know, it's cool. It's cool. I'm all about original material. Trust me, if I'm singing, I prefer to sing my own material. But I've been doing a cappella covers here and there, and sometimes I'll experiment with instruments to see what I can concoct. Terribly sorry. Still looking for a nice cover version. No, that is okay. That is all right. Let's see here. So there's Live at Reading University, December 4th, 1976. I'd like to come across a concert that has May 4th on it, just for the sake of Night on the 4th of May. U.S. Tour 1980. And then Cambridge Folk Festival, July 29th, 1989. Just over a month after I was born, actually, this concert happened. Boom. And unfortunately, as far as damage goes, the box sets, I noticed it's a real shame. There's just a little scratch on here and a little, like, sticky blotch right here. Thank goodness you can't see it, but that's okay. You know, no such thing as perfect, and I'm not even going to try and purchase this set again. You know, only 2,000, no reissuing, so let's be happy with what we have, shall we? It's not visible as far as damage. You'd have to squint. So, let's see. So, and then there's Chestnut Cabaret, Philadelphia, August 8th, 1991. And, yeah, goes back in time. They play Clifton in the Rain / A Small Fruit Song, 2 songs from earlier albums. Old Town School of Folk Music, Chicago, Chi-Town, June 19th, 2006. He's played in Chicago quite a few times, actually. I mean, it's where the Empty Pockets are from. And, yeah, quite a few lovely songs on here. And then the last of the live material, McCabe's Santa Monica, February 1st, 2008, and April 24th, 2009. There he is. There's a song I don't recognize, Unexpected Friesen. Maybe that's coming from him, or maybe that's coming from the audience, who knows. And now, get to the goodies, the rarities. And well, before we cover the rarities, let's quickly go over the BBC sessions. 3 discs, lovely material here. It's actually a track where not only does he talk about something called Say Disc, but there's also a section where he sings a version of America, and then he recites a furniture poem. Be really interested to hear that. So that's going to be interesting. So here we go. So first, demos, outtakes, and rarities, 1964, 1976. Some favorite tracks from these. Go Your Way, for sure. Lovely little plucking tune. I swear to goodness, you'll see what I mean. You'll hear what I mean. The Elf, love his early track, Turn to Earth. It's a cover. Like Wake Dirge, beautiful. Oh, a beautiful cover of a traditional song that goes back centuries. Sense of Deja Vu. Danger Zone, which is his David Bowie song, and wrote that in 1975. Bell-Size Blues. Let's see. I love Willie the King. Dark in the Rolling Sea. And let's see here. There's 1977 to 1990. Taunton McCoot. Love that song. Life in a Bottle. Amazing, amazing tune. Jackdaw. One of the most interesting pieces about a bird I've ever heard in my entire life. The World According to Garp. I have no clue if the film came out before or after the song. Obviously, the book came out before. I assume that's where he would have gotten it. But don't underestimate Al. He's actually been influenced by films plenty of times. He loves films. The Candidates, Antarctica. I'll mention some of those before. Helen and Cassandra. That's a beautiful track. The Coldest Winter in Memory. Dreaming. She Told You Then. Love that track. 1993 to 1998. Favorite tracks from here include Dark Side, My Contemporaries, which is pretty much an early version. Well, not an early version. I don't know why I keep saying that. His version, which is much less than a minute, of The Who's My Generation, with a more dense vocabulary. I love it. Peter on the White Sea. Coincidence? Peter White? No? Maybe a happy coincidence. I Swam. That is a great song. Trespasser. A beautiful track from start to finish. Merry Monks. Life After Death. Two glorious, glorious tracks. And then 2000 to 2008. Let's see. Under a Wine-Stained Moon. Let's see. Goodbye. Love that one. Some of them are separate versions. Some of them are Signs of the Scorpions, demos, demo versions of songs that are to be released. And almost all of these, if not all of them, are Sign of the Scorpion demos. Very interesting. Yep, so, like I said, those are the BBC sessions. So, now that these CDs are covered, omitted tracks and albums. Now first, you should know, let me preface this by saying, this is not me sounding ungrateful to own this complete set. Not sounding ungrateful at all. It happens from time to time in certain box sets or certain reissues of albums. It's usually due to copyright issues. In my Nick Drake Tuck box set, they included everything. All three of his studio albums, and then compilation of unreleased material, Made to Love Magic, and then another compilation of unreleased material and early recordings called Family Tree. But for some reason they didn't include Time of No Reply. Why was this? So I went ahead and bought Time of No Reply. Now, the main album that's missing is a live album, and it's called Uncorked. It was released in 2009, and it was with none other than Dave Nachmanoff. And Dave, if you're watching, first of all, thank you for watching this long. Secondly, you were fantastic on it. Your guitar work was unparalleled. Love the banter between the two of you. Just love it. And then there are cases like the Peter Gabriel era of Genesis, when the 1970 to 1975 box set came out, as well as the Archives box sets of unreleased material from the Gabriel era. The first album, from Genesis to Revelation, was not included. And in that case, it was because the band lost all rights to the album. It's a pity. I mean, you could still buy reissues, it's just not going to be a part of a set. That's all. But it's fine, because there are so many reissues and deluxe editions of that album, I can't even keep track. But back to Al Stewart. So aside from Uncorked, I did mention before that the early versions, the demos from 24 Carats, are missing. As far as I know, unless I didn't look beforehand. Let me see here. 77. Yeah, no, I'm right. They're not here. And then there's, those tracks are available, but you'll have to buy the 40th Deluxe edition of 24 Carats. And then there's another live album, which was live at the Paramount Theater, Seattle, and that was released as part of the 45th deluxe edition of Year of the Cat. So that's separate, so technically you could purchase that as well. It's just not, those two albums are not a part of this set. And then there are plenty of omitted tracks on their own, tons of single edits of very well-known tracks and unreleased tracks. There are a ton of live cover songs that he's sang over the years that were not included in this set as well. He even covered "The Way" by Fastball. That was a new one on me. I mean, he loved it so much the band just sort of learned it almost on the spot, and they played it beautifully. Love his version. And then there are plenty of other tracks. I have a list here. Thank you very much, by the way, to the Al Stewart Facebook group, full of super fans like myself, but I don't have the Book of Faces because that's like hissing cat language for I can't stand it. So, like I said, there are plenty of single edits, single versions. There's another track called Japanese Garden. It Doesn't Matter Anymore, as far as I know. That's not on here. Again, the full version of Class of 58. Now, it's a very interesting live track. The Bear Farmers of Burnham. And the story he told beforehand was this is about people who think they can farm bears. It's hard enough to train them for something as cruel as the circus, but to actually farm them is an interesting technique. I personally, I don't want to know. I think the song is enough for me. One Magic Moment, Open Window, Space Traveler. There are tons of remixes for The King of Portugal, a few different demo versions of Trains, and then it's another cover version, Absolutely Sweet Marie. So I pretty much just typed out this entire list here, and there are collaborations. Blue September with Windows, The French Laundry, Windows and Peter White. Sheila Won't Be Coming Home. It's a Dave Nachmanoff song, actually. Al Stewart sings with him. I guess technically that wouldn't count as part of the set, but here's the thing. If you haven't figured it out yet, I'm a hardcore completist. If I love an artist, I want it all. So, if you find any of these, good luck. But yeah, so in a nutshell, that's it. That's the box set. Again, thank you very much to, I believe it was Madfish who released the box set, and definitely hope to hear some new work by Al Stewart in the future. I know he was working on a song that was about Ernest Hemingway. I love his songs about poets and writers personally because, have you seen my channel? But yeah, so it's definitely enjoyable. A ton of great music, excellent bonus material, excellent live material with, I'm sure, just a treasure trove of stories by the illustrious Al Stewart. Just, if I haven't expressed it before, I'm in love with his lyrics. I'm in love with his mindset when it comes to songwriting, and especially lyric writing. Never mind his agile guitar, but just his poetic lyrics are out of control. I absolutely love them. Not only just the historical references, but his love of language itself. You hear an Al Stewart song, you hear him speak, you could just tell it's him. There's no other way to describe it. He's not like anyone you've ever heard. And if by some stroke of luck that Al Stewart is watching this, thank you. I had the opportunity to meet him about 7 years ago, and it was the most surreal experience of my entire life. I even gave him a poem that I wrote to him, mentioned a ton of references from his songs, and it really lifted a veil I've never been nervous for a job interview after that. I've never been nervous to walk up to someone I'm drawn to or initiate a conversation. I don't know, just meeting him, it sparked this whole idea that I almost made a bumbling, stumbling fool of myself in front of somebody who, probably one of very few people, he doesn't like to be treated like a star. He's a person. He's a very refined, intelligent, amazing human being. And after the starstruck mindset sort of wore off, he and I got to share a coherent conversation. But it did take a while for that to wear off, unfortunately. So, again, sorry, Al. And in fact, at the end of the concert, when I was so nervous, I started to hand him the camera to take a picture of the two of us. And I don't know what I was thinking. It was still just... It was one of the most intimate concerts, if not the most intimate concert I've ever attended. It wasn't like in a stadium where you just felt like a flea on a dog's back, just one of thousands of screaming people. It was just... there were just a handful of us, and you actually felt like he was singing to you. Just... the whole experience was just incredibly amazing. And like I said, the stories he told, just phenomenal. Probably one of my favorite quotes by him was, he said that Shakespeare said that brevity is the soul of wit, but then he used far too many words. So what is he talking about? He's a hypocrite. I love him. And his sense of humor is something else. I could gush about him for hours and hours and hours, but I think I've been fanboy enough tonight. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I've also included the link to deepdiscount.com if there are still copies available. Purchase one if you are a super fan. This is not for somebody who just admires one or two of his songs. These are for hardcore fans, although I'm not about, excluding. If you like those one or two songs enough to purchase this box set, by all means. But anyway, hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. And again, be sure to click the links to check out Amelie, Dave Nachmanoff, and The Empty Pockets, 3 extremely talented musicians, a band, of course. Thank you very much. Poetry lives. Long live the yachts.